Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia. From education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point. If it's 4 p.m. Eastern Time, it is On Point, and with me are our usual partners in crime, the folks that nobody wants to hear from because they say it as they see it. No friend, no brother here. They will tell you exactly as it is. So today we are going to be talking about issues affecting us in Liberia. We'll be talking about the sanitary vote. We'll be talking about those of you who were SOUP members. Maybe Mr. Padmo was SOUP member. You're going burglarizing people home and breaking windows. Victor Namwe, you're here. Your legacy, your left back there is a blossom. Maybe I don't know whether the progressive are moving forward or moving backward. We'll discuss that. And then we're going to discuss about Musa Bilete, whether he has become an issue or problem in Liberia or a good problem, his effect on the country, on the politics. And in politics, they say there are two things, timing. Is his timing right? But before we go into that, I would like for us to go around the round table after our introduction to talk about the United States President Trump has mentioned Liberia twice. The administration have mentioned Liberia twice. Once during his State of the Nation address, and then again his Secretary of Commerce made a startling remark on Fox News, where he said, people who are avoiding and evading taxes in the United States that are into the shipping industry, they are using and flying the Liberian flag to escom. And they are going to get to the bottom of it and they're going to cut it off. For the second time, Liberia has been mentioned. We're going to talk about it. Before we go any further, with me is my co-host, Mr. Michael Padmo, the engineer, all in one. co-host, businessman. I always said it now. If you want to start business, you want to talk about business, this is a shy show. It's in this man's blood. It's in his DNA. I went back to the history of the Padmores. They have been business people from day one. 3, 4, 5 generation business is what they do. If you need business advice, you need several streams of revenue, income. This is the man to talk to. Mr. Padmore, how you doing there, sir? You are muted.
I'm doing really good, Mr. Gaiman. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's good to be here this Sunday. I have a lot going, but hopefully I can focus and we can get some things done. So I'm glad to be here. Let's discuss.
Thank you. And with me also is Mr. Tao, one of our analysts here based in Houston. Mr. Tao, how you doing there, sir?
I'm doing good. Hello to my fellow panelists and to our viewers. I'm glad to be here on this Sunday evening or afternoon, wherever you are, to be part of the discussion.
Thank you. And across the Eagles, the champions, you see him relax during the playoff. This man was so stressed. Now he's over there doing his flight, his wings. Are you doing that, Mr. Namwe? How's the city of brotherly love? I know you're in New Jersey there, but you're in our market.
Hey, we know now we have a target on our backs, but you know what? We're loving it. We're on top of the world's best football team in the whole world. We're loving it, but it's good to be here. Let me say hi to Mr. Tao, and of course our Morovia guys, Mr. Padmore and Dr. Booty. I think they're still on Morovia time. And hi also to our audience. It's good to be here.
Great. Across the water, across the pond, in Great Britain, son of the king. Your crew people, your let title being the king and queen. A man from Southeast, the let king, he's the king over there. Mr. Dr. Booty, how you doing there, sir?
First of all, thank you. The way you praising Mr. Padmore today, I hope, man, you rub your hand before you came on the show. That's praising, best advice, best at this, all kind of things. So anyway, it's all jokes aside, it's always great to be here. It's always an opportunity to learn, and I'm looking forward to another great show.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, please do us a favor and share this show in your network, on your pages. Let's get interactive here. I got to recognize these two guys, Emmanuel Bro and another person by the name of Fix Electronics. I want to find out who this guy is and fix it. These two people are very, very loyal to this show. Everywhere I go, they will be there and they will be tooting the horn of On Point. And you have to give it to them. Thank you, gentlemen. Fix Electronics, you are a female. Thank you. We love what you do. Let's please share the show. Now, let's get going here. I don't know if Mr. Padmore, you could play that video for us real quick before we go into our topics here. Is the one with Mr. Trump, pictures on it. Let's play up to the 2-minute, 10-second mark so we can listen to it in totality and see where we are. The reason I'm bringing this up is because our Liberian economic team, headed by Mr. Ganfuan, keeps saying we should pray. Not only should we pray, but he came up with a new song. He said there's a song that says anything can happen. I never heard that song, but he said that's the song we should listen to. We should pray, and then we should listen to a song that says anything can happen. But as far as he is concerned, the economy is headed to be worse than what it is now. So we should basically tie our belts. That's why he was telling the folks. At the head of the economic team, he didn't say this is what we intend to do to address the issues. These are the prevailing facts. He didn't say that. He said we should go to the United Methodist Church, we go to the Baptist Church, we go to the AME Church, and just keep praying. And then when you leave the church, listen to that song. They call it Anything Can Happen. So we should pray that the American people don't cut our funding. Can we get to it, Mr. Padmore?
Unfortunately, that is a Fox News clip.
Right.
And if we're to show it here,
okay,
Facebook would, once we're done, Facebook will actually come in and
okay, great. So
report
maybe
our program. So
okay,
sorry, I cannot.
So I can show it off my phone.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Great. So guys, let's listen to this.
And do it as short as possible.
Yes. Right after the 2-minute mark, I'll cut it off.
Secretary Howard Lutnick. Secretary, good to have you with us. Welcome to the
Great to be here today.
Good to see you. So what about that? You said on CBS that President Trump wants no taxes on people making below $150,000 annually, and our sources are saying that the Treasury Department doesn't have any plan to put that into action.
No, that's taking it out of context. What we discussed was when the president balances the budget, his first move is going to be, he has suggested that he would like to waive taxes for people under $150,000. That's aspirational, that when we balance the budget. And let me tell you, he's got a plan to balance this budget, right? We are going to take $1 trillion out of the waste, fraud, and abuse of all of our entitlements and all of our systems and all of our waste, and then we are going to raise $1 trillion. That's the Trump card. The Trump gold card is going to be a huge revenue producer. Tariffs are going to be a huge revenue producer, and then getting rid of all the tax scams like Ireland making $75 billion trade, budget surplus. We've got all the ships of the world having Liberian. I mean, imagine a Liberian flag, so they get out of paying U.S. taxes. You cut all that stuff out, you got a balanced budget. But on the whip.
Okay, gentlemen, you heard what he said. Can you imagine Liberia? Can you imagine Liberian flag condescending and going after Liberia? Dr. Booty, you just came from Liberia. This man is saying you guys and every one of us and those who are in the diaspora that are into investing into the shipping business, all you do is fly a Liberian flag and they scum and launder the money and steal and try to evade taxes. They're going to cut all of that off and they're going to raise $1 trillion. Dr. Booty, your take on the Commerce Minister's statement?
I think sometimes when people in the government of President Trump makes statements, we have to take it with a pinch of salt, as we will say in the UK. So basically, you have to do it cautiously. You can't take what they're saying too seriously, because sometimes they say things that, one, they have no control over, and two, well, it really doesn't make sense, right? So you have the International Shipping Registry or whatever it is, and Liberia offers very good rates for flying their flag. For flying our flag. So unless the US is going to undercut that, as in basically charge less for ships or shipping lines to fly their flag, then what he's spitting out is pretty much nonsense, right? And it's basically things that he believed that the hard MAGA base want to hear. And basically that's it, right? Because there's nothing, you can't tell a shipping company, oh, look, by the way, if you fly the Liberian flag, you're not going to bring stuff to the US. Okay, so which flag are we supposed to fly? How do we make money? US companies will be impacted. Jobs will be lost in the US because all of these shipping companies that are now having to pay higher rates just to get a US flag on their ship will then have to cut costs in other places. So yes, there's condescension there in terms of the way that he was speaking about Liberia, but we haven't clothed ourselves in a lot of glory for people to be talking about us in glorifying terms, right? The country is not on the right trajectory, hasn't been for a long time. The rescue mission has failed even before it got started. So yeah, we've put ourselves in a predicament that we're in for people to speak about us as he has or is doing. But yeah, I don't. What he's saying doesn't hold any water for me, unless the US is not going to start charging less than Liberia and I think Panama is the other country for flying their flag. They're not going to do it unless they do that. There's nothing he can do about it.
Wow, Mr. Padmore, I can't believe what Dr. Booty is saying. the American government, the Trump policy is they are eventually going to get rid of the internal revenue and replace it with the external revenue. That means corporations that are based in the United States that are using, because he said Liberia is a tax haven. Tax haven is where when you register your ship and all of that, whether you make billions of dollars, you pay the bare minimum. So what they are saying, every corporation under their authority from the United States will not be allowed to fly a flag and pay the bare minimum and use it as a tax. Mr. Padmore, your take on this?
All right, so first, let's clarify a few things. All right, so when we're talking about the maritime, we're talking about the ships. And we're talking about ship registry. Because a ship travels all around the world, ships are given a free reign of where to register. They do not have to register in the U.S. to ship to the U.S. or it's like KLM or Brussels airline. It's not an American airline, but they fly to the U.S. It's the same thing with ships. It was a brilliant move by Liberia to drop their prices, and by doing that, to attract, tons of ships to register and fly the Liberian flag. What Donald Trump, I believe, was trying to say is that ships that are owned by American companies that fly Liberian flag, and the reason he mentioned Liberia because once again, Liberia is one of the largest ship registry under their portfolio. Basically what he's saying is that is a way for them to get around, government revenue. And this is the same man who was confronted about the taxes he paid, and he boasted and said, well, I'm a smart businessman, so that's why I don't pay any taxes. And now he's frowning on other companies that are trying to do exactly what he's done. Can he force ships to not fly the American flag? No, can't do that. Most likely what will happen is that they will find a way to insert some sort of fee, and say, even though you can fly any country flag, but once you are an American company, you have to pay this fee, and that they will insert that, which goes against everything Republican, because for the Republican 101 is less government, less taxation, free reign of business. But but this is the Trump era, so everything is out the window. But that's how I believe it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to affect Liberia. I don't think it's going to affect Liberia registry. The only thing I believe is going to happen is that they're going to insert a fee on these ships, and the ships will pay these fees, and they'll keep flying their Liberian flag, unless they want to do the tariff thing where the fee will be so high that it won't make any sense to pay the fee and fly the Liberian flag, so they will drop the Liberian flag. But I don't see them going that way. 1, 2, it will be temporary because it's a 4-year measure for Donald Trump. And that's how most companies are approaching Donald Trump. Okay, he wants this, we'll give it to him for 4 years. This is his second term. He will only be here for 4 years. These are executive orders. They expire in 12 months anyway. That's how everybody approaching this stuff. Very temporary. So, does Liberia have to worry? Yeah, they need to keep their eye on it, but they got bigger problems, the way I see it. Liberia has way bigger problems.
Mr. Tower, a few months ago, maybe a few weeks ago, we heard the finance minister saying, we heard people say the USAID is coming to make some cuts. And people were downplaying and say, oh, USAID can't do the USA. And now here we are. The finance minister said minimum $51 million to $100 million will be cut. 51 million has been cut already. Now we are hearing maritime, someone said between 70 and 200 million that Liberia is almost maybe to lose. And people are saying, can you imagine 800 or $700 million budget, and between 100 and $150 million is already basically gone. And people are taking it lightly, Mr. Tower.
Okay. So I look at this from two main fronts, right? First, if you look at what is happening in the US, and this was going to happen regardless of Trump or not, but Trump is the showman. What you see happening is that if we are paying attention to geopolitical restructuring, the US and the West for a long time they've been losing power. They've dominated in a world where there's no competition, and the competition is there. They have the business or the ruling class or the corporations that drive that work based on U.S. foreign policy. If you look at a lot of things that Trump is saying when it comes to immigration, because this is all part of it, the America First, and mentioning Liberia and all of this stuff, and even the visa ban. A lot of this is campaign talk. I'm not saying there is not any kind of merit to it. Remember, the thing here is that America is in problem, and the reason that it's in problem is there's some external guy, there's some group out there. There is China, is immigrants, is this person, is that person, and that is the message that the people want to hear. Instead of saying that the corporations were the one that deindustrialized this place, we wanted to maximize on profit, we wanted to become a billionaire, we wanted to produce cheap and sell high. This is what brought us here. No, they move it away from themselves. So a lot of the stuff that you hear, like concerning this whole flag stuff, that's also part of it. And you're going to hear this thing play out. They're going to say everywhere to go. But look at what they're doing and what they're saying. I have a friend that believes so much in the Trump movement, and it's like that deep state. What really is the deep state when they mention this in America? Because they throw it around as if it's some kind of hidden group. No, it's the corporations, the Bank of America, it's the Raytheon, it's the Boeing, it's the Tesla, it's the SpaceX, it's the Amazon, it's the Walmart, it's all it's the Microsoft, the Blackwater, the Vanguard, the how you call this other group? But everything that Trump is doing, that he said we need to get the mineral deal in Ukraine. America does not have a national company. Who is getting the deal? It's the same corporation that he's supposed to be trying to remove, that he ran on, that he's going to try to restrict. They're the one that getting the mineral deal. When he said that China is running the Panama Canal, America need to take over it. I'm forgetting the name. How am I forgetting the name of these guys? Not Vanguard, the other group. Just forgetting. They're the ones that's going to buy the asset management company. And remember, this asset management company here manage the asset of even millionaires and billionaires from out of China, from out of sovereign wealth from the Middle East and all of this stuff. But they're going to buy the Panama Canal. So if you don't look at what they're saying, all this stuff is a gimmick. He's fooling the public, and so he's throwing. So he will pick on weak countries like Liberia. But let me come back to the flag. Just like everybody said here, what is he really going to do? America flag is not cheap to fly. American businesses and these remember now, these shipping line, they're also tied into all these national corporations that Trump actually represent. So all this stuff is a front that they're creating, or that's one aspect of it. But look at what happened when it comes to Liberia, and you are saying USAID cutting funding is actually different from actually going after actual American businesses. Because remember, the contention here in the US is that the money, there is a lot of corruption involved, which we all know. USAID said that they spent $1 billion in our agriculture, which was not true. The money is moved and is pocketed by stuff. So the other group kind of, they want to probably maybe pocket their own money. So them cutting direct funding versus trying to obstruct an American business, that's two different things. I don't think they're going to touch the shipping people to tell them where they're going to go, unless they're trying to cut a deal with Panama that they should go and fly Panamanian flag in the deal of them buying or holding on to the Panama Canal again at the expense of Liberia. Maybe this is the kind of stuff that they might be pulling, or as we know, forcing Liberia's hand, so that, remember, our maritime money was in the hand of retired U.S. Defense Department generals through ITC. And Chancellor himself, not having any kind of good intention, fought them and took it away from them so that they can control it. It's possible it's something like that they're trying to push. That they scare us and they say, okay, if you want for us to leave the shipping industries alone, we're going to come there. But guess what? The guys that are now in charge of our maritime is an Israeli group. So I don't know. And Trump himself is Jew. That is with the Israelis. So I don't know if he's going to come in there and force their hand to remove it from them so that him and his clique can handle it, or if it is something that they're trying to co-op so that they can force Liberia to get more cut from us. It could be either one of these things. But the actual thing to look at it like they're going to cut the shape, they're going to, no, I don't think so. I don't see it that way.
Great. Mr. Namwe, I want you to read the tea leaves here. We have the maritime headquarters in Virginia. We have a lot of Liberia. I got a lot of friends that work there that are making good sum of money. The U.S. is trying. Hey, Mr. Twan. Mr. Patrick Twan. There you go. So, Mr. Namwe, your take on this whole issue?
So first of all, I don't know where Mr. Conga is coming from, calling Buchanan the second capital city. Where you Basel people get these things from? Anyway,
Mr. Padmo, can you
the capital city that I'm possibly
tell this man the history, man?
Yeah.
They progressive. I thought
you said in Tuco, and then you put money Basel people.
I think man,
on the topic.
Mike, you just come to Liberia. Did you go to Buchanan?
He didn't
I
have
went to Tuco.
Yeah,
Basel people.
That's right.
I'm gonna go Buchanan before being Basel.
Anyway, look, I think Dr. Booty is onto a point here when he said Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, he seemed to be talking off the top of his head because I don't know, he gave that statement that he made, he gave it much thought, because on that very day that he made that statement, is reported the shipping industry lost over $15 billion just that one day of trading on Wall Street. So the shipping industry has very far-reaching, ramifications. However, I don't agree that because he said it off the top of his head, they're going to abandon it. Trump, if you know Trump as we've known him, when he bites, he locks his jaw on it. He keeps coming back to that well. And I think they're seeing this. He's trying to balance his budget. The whole establishment of the External Revenue Service, being able to collect revenues from Americans who live abroad. I think Michael was onto something there. I just don't know, how many Americans or how many American ships are flying the Liberian flag. But yes, I think they're considering very seriously trying to find a way to tax, shipping, ships that are owned by Americans that are out there flying the Liberian flag because of the very, 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 very attractive, tax regime that we offer. But the shipping industry. I was reading the shipping industry is considered just a little sliver on the whole cargo business, the cargo business. Who really I think are going to fight this administration for this, because if they do that, it's going to impact them very, very tremendously. And I think they're not going to go for it. But I know Trump is not. He's not going to let up on it. He will keep pushing that until they get something out of it. Coming to Liberia, I think the next 4 years, I believe it was Mr. Tao who said that, or Mike. I think we should all factor the next 4 years in whatever we do, and prepare ourselves for the next, for the duration of this guy's term. Once he identifies Liberia, he will keep coming there, and we have to find a way, to rest ourselves from this, whatever it is that we're getting from the U.S. We need to find a way to replace that. I don't agree with the finance minister. God said, he helps those who help themselves. We have to help ourselves first before we pray to be helped. But this whole idea of, pray and hopefully, we can pray it away, I don't think it's going to help us. He said $51 million, but I understand, the direct assistance, not the assistance to WFP or World Bank or, but the direct assistance. Most of the salaries and other things is around $140 million per annum. So it's not 51 million, it's going to be more. And I think the impact of all of this is going to continue to compound. And the sooner we take measures, to mitigate it, I think the better off we'll be. But if we sit there and hoping that they will just make some statement and then, they'll forget about it and pray to God that they don't remember it tomorrow, I don't believe that is going to be a helpful policy to adopt as a government.
Great. Mr. Patrick Twan, are you okay? Nope. And he's over. Mr. Twan, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay. We are discussing the Liberian maritime. We don't want to see your teeth.
Go ahead.
We are discussing the Liberian maritime and the pending threat from the Trump administration about using Liberia as a safe haven for the ship registry. And he said he got to go after the American ships that are using Liberia as a tax haven. Your take on that?
Well, that's an old story concerning Liberia shipping issue. It fall within the Liberian foreign affairs issue, and the shipping, the flag, the passport of Liberia, they have been used to benefit not the people of Liberia, but people who just want to exploit the country in connection with the government officials in power. So this is why I welcome President Trump's recent statement that the Waka government should take steps to deal with the deficiency in many of its activities. So the shipping, the passport, and the flag, these are the issues that need to be addressed. They are being a very old issue. It's not new. But those who in these areas of our government have not demonstrated seriousness. This is all I can claim.
Great. Dr. Booty, I want you to close on this. In 2014, the well-renowned newspaper called ProPublica, they published a dossier exposing the Liberian Maritime Authority, how they launder money. In fact, they said Liberia spent $200 million on the alien administration lobbying the United States. And the source of that funding came from the maritime affairs. So here we are, Dr. Booty. Those of you who are saying it won't make much of it, the folks are saying, like Mr. Twan said, this can go all the way back. ProPublica went and published how the money in Liberia is not going to the people. It's not going to the country. It's going in the hands of the top tiers that take the money and use it for their own intended purposes, and they trace that money back, $200 million back to the maritime affairs. Your take?
Oh, I think if that is the case, and obviously we have evidence to suggest that monies that have been generated from the Liberia Maritime Authority is being mismanaged or utilized through corrupt means to enrich individuals, that is a Liberian government situation to handle. And, we don't need the Commerce Secretary of the United States coming there to tell us, because again, when you listen to his comment, he's not saying that, oh, we're trying to help Liberia. He's trying to help the US, right? So his comments have nothing to do with the mismanagement of the resources that have been generated through the Maritime Authority. Liberians, as in us in this room, and those in our country and those in other places in the diaspora, have the responsibility to hold our government accountable if they are mismanaging the money, and bring them to book. But the U.S. Commerce Secretary statement was in the interest of the U.S. It had nothing to do with Liberian interest. They didn't care that the Baka then stealing money, so let increase the ship. How does putting an extra tax on shipping companies going to stop them from stealing, right? So if anything, it might even increase the amount of money they can steal, because if you force Liberia to increase the price, then it just means that they're getting more money in, and then there's more money to steal, right? So I don't get the logic there. At the end of the day, look, we have bigger issues to fry, like Mr. Patmo said, bigger issues to fry. Our country is not on the right trajectory right now. The Minister of Finance came out and started quoting Wycliffe Jean, anything can happen song here. It's not good for the Liberian people. What he should be saying, and I'm not sure, I think it was Mr. Patmo who mentioned that from the start, is okay, here is this hole in our budget because the US has decided, which is their right to do, to pull their funding. Here is how we're going to fill the hole. We've got areas here that we've got so much waste. We've got a bank governor of the central bank that we're paying so much money. So we're going to slash that maybe by 50, 60%. We've got ministers that we're paying all this money. We're going to slash that by 50, 60%. We've got senators and representatives that we're spending all this money on. We're going to slash that. You got one representative with about 15, 20 staff. Like, why? Why will a representative in the country like Liberia, that Donald Paul SH countries will have 30 staff, right? Why? And those are the ways that he should come up with policy actions. And look, here is how we're going to address this shortfall by cutting on the waste and then repurposing that money to put these young people to work. So those that will then not be able to get opportunities, you can invest in agriculture. You can invest in other sectors in the country to get people working. Because at the end of the day, every sensible financial expert will tell you, or economist will tell you, if you want to generate more money, you have to improve or create the economic activities. So if you pay the people at the bottom of the table more money, they go and spend money. So businesses then buy more goods and services. Government can then get more taxes on those goods and services as they come into the country. That's what you need to do. Take the money from up here, put the money down here, and you will see that the economy will start to do better because there will be more economic activities. And this is not rocket science. I'm not an economist, but I know that. So you can't tell me Mr. Gafuan, who has been finance minister under President Shirley, went to the African Development Bank, now come back and still don't understand how to get the economy running. And we're paying Henry Samoa 50-something thousand, and he doesn't know how to put policies in place to get the economy running. Then why are we paying him all that money? So the Americans have pulled their money, come up with policy actions on how we address the shortfall. Cut the waste. There's so much waste in our government. Cut the waste. Cut that 700 million that you're paying these. The name I won't call them. I can't call them on TV. But those people you pay, cut that 700 million down.
Don't do it.
Right? Cut it down. Cut it down to 300 million. and then
Honorable,
repurpose the 300 million.
Honorable Dukley, we can see your head. Okay, great. Now, Honorable Duke, let's say you came late, you won't have to punish you. You will not have the opportunity to opine on the ship registry. You're the diplomat. That should have been your area, but family come first. Let's go to the number one thing on our agenda here. The senatorial election in Nimba. Now, while people are talking about the senatorial election in Nimba, the bigger gorilla in the room that nobody wants to talk about, we'll talk about it, is the Musa ability man who has single-handedly become the excavator. I call him the excavator. He getting diamond out of the rough. What would be his impact and the Musa ability impact or effect on Liberian politics?
Well, you talking to me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Gaiman, thank you, and my apologies for being this late. And I've been listening and I've been watching this whole thing unfold. See, really, Liberia is in a sad state. Liberia is at a place where sometimes the men of God would say, you probably need a divine intervention to get us where we are. And most ability has now become, I don't want to say the kingmaker for Nimba County, but most ability has positioned himself in a way that he wants to make himself more relevant than he actually is. And it's unfortunate that people in Liberia and in Nimba in particular, there are some who are actually buying into what he's trying to do. But it's kind of hard to resist it, looking at where we have come from to get here. As I was driving coming here, Mr. Gaiman, I was just thinking about, when you sent me the topic, and I was looking at the senatorial election in Nimba County, and I kind of reflected on something. It was in line with what the doctor was talking about there. And it's in line with everything that happens in Liberia. Look, everybody is in this for themselves, and they couldn't care less what happens to Liberia. And this Cougar guy was handpicked by Ellen Johnson. What is this? Prince Johnson's party, and it seems like he's been carried as if he's untouchable, and nobody else should oppose him. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Mustability comes up with this project of his own party and now his own candidate. Our politicians are people with no principle. Our politicians are people that do not get into it because of wanting to advance, wanting to improve, or wanting to develop wherever constituency they are going to be representing. So we saw how Mustability moved from one political party to another, and we all saw that in every attempt that he made, it was all for his own personal gain. And we have now come to see that effort has paid off by having him elected as member of the Liberian legislature. So what the exercise you see him doing right now with this senatorial election is in line with his own personal interests. It's got nothing to do with Nimba. It's got nothing to do with his constituent, but for himself. Mustability is playing the long game here, in my opinion. And I think this is a step further to further that long game.
Great. Mr. Our political analyst here, Mr. Nambe. In politics, they say everything is timing, right? It looks like there's a consensus in Liberia that almost all of our senators or people in our legislature may not come back in 2029. If that is the case, isn't a perfect timing for a dog horse or somebody who has the resources and the gravitas to say, this is what I have done. Compare me to the rest. You don't think that this is a smart political move?
Look, I haven't known Musa too long. I mean, I've met him on a couple of occasions. I've watched him also from a distance. Well, from the time I have watched him, he seems very, very cerebral. Very, very calculated. And he hardly makes a move without really considering several, implications of what it will entail. I disagree with my brother Dukley that Musa is in it for himself, and that's the only reason that's driving him. Politics is local, they say, and local is not necessarily your locale. It could be very well your person. So if you are in it to benefit yourself, that is local. But Musa is not only benefiting himself. I mean, if you look at what he's done, even before he got elected, he went in the Nimba, built a bridge. He just inaugurated another or broke ground for another one, I believe, during the week that he named not after himself. He didn't even take the glory. He's naming Tiawan Gonglo, naming the bridge out of Tiawan Gonglo. So if that is what we mean that he's being selfish, then you know what? All the luck to him. I think he's really, I mean, compare that to Koga, who is all over the place, who wants to be the next senator. What has he really done in his time in the Senate? He's been in the Senate over 10 years, about 13 or so years. What has he done besides jumping over Prince Johnson's body? So Musa is doing what I had hoped Alex Cummings would have done, for which I supported him as the CPP candidate. He is being the disruptor. He is trying to break that umbilical cord of corruption at the Capitol building. He's using his own money to get things done. And I think he's in it for. I agree with Dukley on this one. He's in it for a long game. I think Musa is making a play that I believe will bear fruit very soon. 2029 is down the road. Most of our opposition politicians are still sleeping. Musa has already started, and I think this early start is going to pay off. I think it's going to yield dividends for him. I think he's trying to make his mark in the upcoming by-elections. I'm not sure he's going to win it, but it's putting him, at the table. He's getting a lot of free press out of this, and I think this is all calculated. So at the end of it all, I think it is a very smart play he's making. The couple of moves he's made. I mean, from he could have run for something much higher in this going election, but he decided he was going to run for a small district where he overwhelmingly took the vote, and I think he knows what he's after. So I doubt that he's just doing this to benefit himself. I believe there's partly yes to benefit himself, but I think the community is really benefiting from what he does. I mean, we've seen it all over the place. Plus, departure of Prince Johnson really have left Nimba County wide open. I mean, they're my in-laws. My wife is from Nimba, and I have a little bit of understanding of the Nimba politics. I understand Nimba, Musa is from the Mandingo ethnic group, but those are the three big tribes of the five. The Gio being the first, the Mano, and the Mandingo people are right there. So I think he's playing his cards. Right now, what is at stake is who becomes the godfather of Nimba. At the end of it all, you'd be shocked, and Musa might be, in the position to call the shots. And I think this is his play.
Thank you, Mr. Tawo. We're going to limit this to 2 minutes per person here now, since we got enough folks here. But here we are, Mr. Tawo. When you have the resources in politics, everybody wants to run, but they do not have the resources to do so. Musa ability have done something that my own friend and brother Brunskin didn't do. Never won any elected position. Nobody had ever given him power. All he wanted to do was be president. It seemed to Alice Cummings, nobody had given him power. And many other people that ran for president in Liberia. This man did the smartest thing, went back to his local district, won an election, landslide, did a lot of work. Now people are now using him as the yardstick. Look what Musa Billet have done, what he promises to do, what he continues to do. Can you do that? Resources, resources, resources. Mr. Taiwo.
Yeah. Okay. So in the first place, I don't know why the Musa Billet issue in terms of him registering a political party or when you're supporting a candidate is something that's seen as some kind of something that may be wrong or suspicious. The political space is open. That is what the Liberian political system called for, right? I mean, he's qualified. He ran himself. He is putting forth a candidate. I mean, Kuhn put up a candidate or he supported somebody. Why is that not a major issue? Or to see? So I don't look at it from that perspective. Look at how I see it here. Whether it's Musa Billet or anybody else, I agree with Mr. Dukley, Brother Dukley. They're all in it for themselves. So to say that they're in it for something else that they want to help the district, Musa did not do any of the stuff until he wanted to run. So that is a game that was played. All of them, they're in it for themselves. If they were not in it for themselves, we're going to see the result in the interest of the people. Even here in the U.S., almost all of them are in it for themselves. So that is the kind of political system that you have. It is not one that is based on the leaders being cultivated through tested stuff to have actual blueprint of work and accomplishments. It's about somebody showing up. It's about popularity. It is a business, it's advertisement, and that is all that it is. If I have millions of dollars right now and I feel that I want to go after some position, I've never held any public office in Liberia. I just have to go and throw it around. And this the political system that I've been questioning. This stuff attract people that are incompetent and criminals as long as they have the resources or they have how the way I become president. He kicks on football around. That was it. That was the only qualification. He ran Lone Star into the ground. I was very close to Lone Star and I saw what he did. But guess what? That was popularity. He became president. This is what we have. So, but look, this is what I would want to say. Because I wanted to say this because I listened to one of the shows. Musa Billet is from the Mandingo tribe. Because there was this thought that had been pushed that Mandingos are being marginalized.
Listen, his mother Gio now, so he's Mandingo and Gio.
Yeah, so because I want to say this, because we have to be very careful. No, Mandingos are not being marginalized anywhere in our country. For people to be marginalized, or people that are marginalized cannot be an economic power. Because if you're marginalized, there are policies that are put in place that then put things in place to restrict you from even taking part economically or freely to even own anything. We see it here in the U.S. where we are. We're blacks. The African American marginalized, you can see all the policies around that marginalization and how it's put in place. So no, and then when I wrote something, because I was listening to the show, and then when I wrote something, how can the people that are marginalized be one of the biggest economic power? They say, oh, because it's of their genius. No, if you're marginalized, you're not even going to be allowed. You're going to be restricted to even function in the economic space. But look at what happened here. Then they want to say, oh, they're not elected in place. No. The reason, if you look at the political front, is because the Mandingos they're not grouped together in one area where they're large enough in number to where, like to say Nimba, to say Lofa, they're scattered. So when they come to the political stuff where it's majority and they have to run for a position like president or stuff for them to win, it becomes difficult. And if that is the case, then let the Mandingo try to move maybe in one area, but I don't think nobody's marginalized in that sense. Yes, people can adhere to one Muslim or Christian, that's a whole different stuff. But we're just talking about Mandingo because the reason we're saying this, No Mandingo person have been targeting Liberia, where you see the other group are running after them to kill them or do anything. So from me, just Musa ability, as we are speaking of him now, that even demonstrate what I'm saying here. If you're marginalized, just in Nima alone, they won't allow him to, he won't be able to even run there or to even be a force like he is not in Liberian politics. So I just want to clarify that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Padmore, this is the protege of your man Ellis Cummings, and he's doing exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. Your take on the Musa ability. I know we have talked about this ad nauseum, but this is politics. Let's talk about Musa ability.
No, I think I don't think it's we've talked about it enough because Musa is on a journey, and so I think it bears to be discussed. So the first thing I'd recognize is that Nima continues to be second to Monserrate when it comes to votes per county. And since the passing of Prince Johnson, nobody has really mounted the helm to become that person. And I believe that Musa has placed himself strategically to actually surmount it. Just like right now, I know we have a lot of stuff going on in the House of Representatives, but Musa stands a very strong chance of being Speaker. There's a strong push for both speakers to step aside. And if that happens, Musa becomes a front runner automatically. There's a lot of anger at Thomas Fala, and we'll see a really, really strong fight for that. I think Musa putting somebody in the race is very strategic. I think it's a win-win situation. So Musa's guy could most definitely, he's popular enough to topple a Koga. But if he loses, let's just assume he loses that race, right? He comes second to Koga. Koga's immediately after Koga wins, Koga's seat in the House becomes vacant. And Musa guy is going to slip into that seat as coming second to Koga. I mean, it's a win-win situation for Musa, you know? And if he does that, now he has solidified that guy as one of his men, you know? And now all of a sudden now he's standing over the Nima caucus in the House, you know? And see, I mean, say what you want to say, but he has been too strategic. He has put his money where his mouth is, you know, and he's doing what needs to be done. And I think it's refreshing. I think it's refreshing. And I will not put it past Musa to throw his hat in the race come 2029. Why not? Why not? It's open. You know, he should. But I think this is exciting. We're watching the chess game being played, you know. And I mean, you know, I'm very, very strongly becoming a Musa fan. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with everything he's done, but you must respect him for, you know, for his wit, his political wit of what he's been able to achieve and where he's positioned himself. Great. And I think it would do good for other people to take notice.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. The man, I'm going to invite him on the show here to come and tell us what the CMC is all about and their mission and their vision and all of that. Hopefully their vision and their mission is not poor, like Tikam J said. Mr. Twan, we are talking about Nima politics. We are talking about Musa ability. Musa ability, not only has he done things that you can physically look at that have benefited the folks. We are talking about electrification of every district, every town in his district, building bridges, went into other people's district and doing some work there. And yesterday, He got breaking ground for one of the biggest bridges that will connect Nimba and Bong County. And instead of naming it after himself or his mother, he named it after one of the greatest sons of Nimba, Tiawan Gonglo. What a great deal. Your take on his political aspiration and his impact on Liberian politics.
Anyway, Musa Bedete becoming such a major issue in Liberian politics that was wrong with our country. This guy and many others, they destroy the money, they destroy the country, they use the Liberian people, no one can go after them, take them to court, and they become the center of attraction in our politics. How do you think the international community is looking at Liberia? Musa Bedete international affairs is marked with criminalities. In Liberia, the same thing. Musa Bedete was indicted by the LACC for economic crimes. So you have these guys running around in Liberia, pretending that they are good, but they are not. There wasn't ever money Musa Bedete is using to buy his way through politics. He stole that money. Okay, we have records for that. LACC indicted Musa Bedete for economic crime. He had not been exonerated. Then you talk about his association with FIFA. Now, we think that Liberia is an island by itself. So we don't care where people out there sing. Do you know how much money Liberia is losing for international investment? Do you know how much? Because of the kind of people showing their faces, putting their faces to the country? Millions of dollars. Nobody want to deal with Musa Bedete on a very serious level. Okay? The other countries are doing their best to bring forth their best people. But we Liberians, we just bring anybody, and we just lavish this praising on them. We should stop acting that what is happening in Liberia today, it started today. No. It started way back. So when we are discussing Liberian politics, we have to look at history. Okay? If Musa Bedete put himself out in the public, he should be scrutinized. Is he politically fit to represent Nimba County? I don't think so. Is he politically fit to represent Liberia? I don't think so.
Why not?
How do you define
Mr. Twan, let me push back here.
No. But you're interrupting me.
Let me push back because Musa Bedete have not been convicted. He has not been tried in any court, competent jurisdiction in Liberia. He did that. If
Mr.
you have
Gabon,
a document, please bring it forward.
Mr. Gabon?
Yes.
Okay. You say Musa Bedete had never been convicted in any court. Okay? That was one with the country. That what is wrong with Liberia. We have these people committing crimes that the governor want to go after them because these same people, they're bribing government officials. Then what kind of defense is that? That they accuse you of raping women, but they say they haven't taken the court. That means that you're not guilty because you using your money and bribing those who's supposed to go after you. That's what's going on in Liberia. So when that's not having convicted by a court, that defense is bogus. Okay, and they think the one of the reason why these people are getting away with all the nonsense is that the press in Liberia and podcasts like this, they need to question these people.
We have done that.
Look, for the time we've been here, you're treating Musa Bedete like some kind of statement. Someone who just come on the show when you hear where you're talking about Musability, oh, yeah, man. The money the guy using to pay all the breaches and everything, he stole the money. And then one want to challenge that, they call it LSCC. We can put Musability on his record on Facebook. The records are there, but we ignore this thing and we just, then when the man take over, I know what he want to do now. Then we start criticizing, oh, Liberia is not developing. Liberia. No one gave Musability the responsibility to develop Liberia. No legislature, lawmaker have that responsibility. There are three responsibilities a legislator have: oversight, appropriation, and lawmaking. And everything that you do as a legislator should fall within the three things that building bridges, building roads that don't last for long. It's not. We should stop questioning this kind of perception, please.
Thank you. Dr. Booty, we are looking at a man who has done something that we say is tangible. He is saying to the Liberian people, look what I have done. Put my record against anybody. And he named them. And he's going around making his case. Mr. Tuan reminds me of everybody that says, George, we have stole 16 billion. But now those who were making that claim, they are in power. And they cannot prove that 16 billion was stolen, but they were just going around saying that. Now here we are, people are accusing Mr. Musability of committing crime without an iota of evidence. It's all you want to. Your take on this?
Mr. Gavin, so first of all, Musability was investigated by FIFA, was found guilty, was banned for 10 years. He went to the Court of Arbitration for Sports, and they upheld the ban and the fine of 500,000. So he has been found to have committed fraudulent activities, at least in that international sector. As it relates to Liberia, obviously, these things have to be proven, and they've not been proven just yet. I think listening to Mr. Patmo talk about Musability, and then also listen to Mr. Nangbe as well. I think first of all, Mr. Nangbe, you've been married to our neighbor sister for some time, and you still haven't understood Nimba politics, right? That I do not believe, and maybe the tape will be played one day, and I'll have to eat my words. I do not believe that Musability has the capacity to win a county-wide election in Nimba County. I do not believe. Even though Emmanuel Guillaume, I do not believe he has the capacity. I think what he's doing in his district should be commended, but that is a minimum expectation of a representative, right? If you're representing the people and you have the financial capacity to help them, then you should, right? So that we're clapping for him. Mr. Patmo is his biggest fan because he's bouncing around from one party to another party. That's being a good politician nowadays. It tells you how low the bar is in Liberia, and we are, condoning those kind of nonsense. To then praise him as some kind of political chess player, right? I don't think his moves are that smart. I think some of the things he said, some of the actions he's taken are very questionable, if I can put it that way. Obviously, when the dust settle, we will see exactly how significant he is. I don't believe he's that significant. I think the Liberian people see through what he's trying to do. And I think throwing his hat in the race in 2029 again, cousin Appleton threw a hat in the race and it came third, I think, or something like that. So anyone, I think, even Mr. Gavin, would throw a hat in the race now, he might win Grand Bassa County, that might make him fourth in the list. It doesn't mean that he can become president of Liberia, right? So we need to put these things in context, and we need to really think about it in the grand scheme. I think Musability is doing what he wants to do, what all Liberian politicians do, and to seek his own interest. He has, and that one I think I can accept when Mr. Patmo said that he might have an eye out to become speaker. The money can win him that, because the guys in there, you need to get small thing and you win. But in terms of his influence on Liberian politics, I think that's a stretch. I think he doesn't have any impact or influence on Liberian politics. I think if you tell me one person that Musability is supported for elected office that has won an election, apart from himself, right? That's here's my candidate for president, they won. He Here's my candidate for senator. They won. Here's my candidate for representative. Won. He hasn't. Right now, he started a new party because everywhere he go, they kick him out. And then, his ability is good. Please, we need to do better as people, right? We need to set the standard a bit higher and hold these guys to better accountability. I think I'm not against his ability if he presents a good platform that will serve the people of Nimba or Liberia. Then yes, we can have a good conversation. But having not heard what his platform is, and because he's building one bridge here and building again, when you have the money, that's what you're supposed to do. Mr. Gamer goes to Liberia from time to time. He helps people, does things in his area. I've done it. Mr. Padmo does it. Other people in the room do it as well. That's what we're supposed to do. When you're blessed, you're supposed to give back. And he's blessed significantly. All of his wealth has been created or developed from Liberia. So obviously you're supposed to give back to Liberia. That's an expectation. That's not something we should be clapping for him for. He made his wealth from Liberia. So he's supposed to give back to Liberia. Right. So yeah, I look, end of the day, let's see how it plays out. There is, I believe, an opening in Nimba County, because I'm looking at the county and speaking to people on the ground, and I'm not sure that Koga has it, like showing that he's going to win it. Someone, I think one of our people who are watching mentioned Edith Gonglo Red or whatever her name is. So we need to bring her into the conversation as well. And I think there are other major candidates as well that might just, even though Prophet Key, I know why you ain't talking about Prophet Key. All I hear talking about was that ability you forget from Prophet Key, and I'll stop on that front.
Okay.
Jerome, can I come in for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. When the world stage is ready, we'll come on the world stage. But let me say this to my brother here, and I like him a lot. But he accused me of not understanding Nimba politics. Let me lay it out for you, Dr. Budi. I think Musa of all people will tell you straight up that he believes it will be difficult for him to win a Nimba-wide position. And if you notice, he's not putting his hand up yet for the Senate. I think he knows that. He went for a smaller district. He won that overwhelmingly. If you listen to Padmo, who I disagree with most of the time a lot, but I have to agree with him. I think Musa is solidifying his base to go and run for the Speaker of the House. He can win there. He doesn't need Nimba County alone to win there. He will the Nimba support behind him. He can win there. I think that's his play. I know Musa he straddled the Madingo and the Mano people, and but that's what he's working on to see how I told you. I believe he's trying to be in the conversation for the Godfather of Nimba County, and I think he's using his resources, and he's doing that. As to the fine by FIFA, look, I'm not going to argue that, but we all here believe in second chances. If he's paying the fine and he made a run doing paying the fine, I don't think we should tie him to that for the rest of his life. And so I believe what he's doing is a very smart play.
You're agreeing with me, right? You agree that
I am agreeing with you partially.
You can't agree to county-wide elections, and you agree that
no, because you are alleging because you are alleging. I'm telling you why he's not running for a Nimba-wide position.
We all know that Musa Ability was trying to run for president of FIFA, right? The white boys over there got together and wanted to make sure that it didn't happen. But guess what? But I'm saying this. Let me preface that by saying everybody that accused Musa Ability of wrongdoing in FIFA, they were all convicted. The entire hierarchy of FIFA,
including the Sepp Blatter himself.
So
no, that's not true. That's not true. Benete was accused after Blatter. No, that's not. No. Don't be saying things that are untrue. Sepp Blatter was born before Benete was convicted, right? So Sepp Blatter was already gone.
Together.
No. But you were saying that they were convicted after.
Honorable Ducle, let's talk about a young man by the name of Mike Blavian, right? Mike Blavian is the gentleman whose hands that Musa Ability have put up. And this young man, from what I understand, he have worked in the county on the local level. He has connection in the entire county. So for Musa Ability to excavate this young man and say, this man looks like me, he sounds like me, he walks like me, we align in our logic, I will support him. This young man has no blemish. Everybody talking about him, he's the dark horse, and most likely may win this. Your take on the Nima politics?
Mr. Gaiman.
No, not you. I said Mr. Dukley.
Mr. Gaiman, we all of us here on this panel, we have all opined on Musability's moves. But I would tell you one thing, as a politician, and I mean the way Musa Belita has conducted himself, Musa is reading the playbook of Liberian politics perfectly, and so he's positioned himself for what he wants to achieve. And so, I mean, I won't blame him for that. I mean, I'll probably do the same thing if I was in his position in the same context, factoring in the Liberian body politics. With that said, and I think that's a very smart way to play it, because you see, because like I said earlier, Musa is playing for the long game. These are some of the foundation he's laying for when he's going to need these individuals to play his game. And so, I mean, a lot of people would say this came out of the blue, but I can tell you, this is a well calculated that has been in the works for many months. Okay, and so it only came to light now because Prince Johnson is no longer there, and the field is just wide open for anyone. And he does have the financial ability to impact this election, I must say. And so, he is doing everything that any politicians would do to make sure that they advance their own agenda. And again, I will come back to what I said earlier. Musa is in it for himself and for himself only.
Mr. Gaiman.
1 minute, Tuan. Go ahead.
I want to say something here. I want to say something here.
Get done first now.
Okay. Let him land. Go ahead, Mr. Duklin.
There's still to be a trend here. Yeah.
Now, so he can complete his.
Let
Mr. Duklin get done.
Let him land. He was in flight. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Duklin.
Yeah. So Musa Belita is exhibiting exactly what a typical Liberian politician would do, who has the means to affect their own desire in a place where they can. And so I wouldn't be surprised if things go his way because of the enormous resources he is expending in this particular by-election.
Thank you. Mr. Tao, you close up on this, and we'll go to our next topic. We are talking about a young man by the name of Mark Bleeman, right? He was the man that was picked by, endorsed by Mr. Ability. Everybody I have talked to say he's a straightforward, very outstanding man that have worked in the county for years. No blemish, no accusation. So here we are talking about a young man who is, I think, 44 years old, have worked in the county for over 10 years, done everything right. And is there anything wrong with him coming up to the front and saying, I want to take the lead, I want to be a senator in Nima County?
No, I don't think there was anything wrong with the young man. But so the young man is really, I don't know him, the people of Nimba or of that district.
We'll try to bring him on so we can.
Yeah, so maybe they know him and they know what work he's done. And so that, but we're talking about ability, and there is something that I want to point out here. There is something that Mr. Twan said that we should not overlook, and I see that people try to gloss over it, that if he already committed some crime and he was convicted for it, will be given second chance. But the people that are victims and die of those crimes, those economic crimes, they don't have a second chance. The nation is dying. The nation don't have a second chance. My cousin was at the FA with Musa Belita. He was on the executive committee. Lone Star not doing anything well today. Musa Belita is a factor of that. He destroyed that FA through all of the corruption that Liberia could not. We shouldn't sit here and say that Musa Belita, nobody have convicted him. Liberia don't convict anybody. So it don't mean that a crime was not committed. So if Musa Belete stole this money, which we know because I saw a speech that he gave when he was leaving the Ellen government, that I came with 5 million and I'm leaving with 50 million. He made that statement openly. Nobody said anything. Nobody questioned him. So if he's using the same stolen wealth for now navigate, we have to call that out, and we have to actually be able to move in a country that is serious for us to actually stop him from even taking part in the political system. Because we want to say corruption, we want to fight for it, but then we don't want to start somewhere, because if this person is close to us, then we want to justify. If we know this other person from our party, we want to justify. So everybody wants to love their own crook, as you always say. That's why I would leave that.
Thank you. Guys, let's go to number 3 on here.
Okay, Mr. Gaiman,
yes.
I was comment on, you told me the word first for this topic.
Okay, 30 seconds, guy. Go ahead.
I don't want us to close this topic on a impression that Musa Belete has redeemed himself. That this man, people say he playing the red cards. The man used the money that he stole from the Liberian people.
Yep.
Our schools, our hospitals. These things are not being taken care of because people like Musa Belete and all a bunch of them in our country are undermining the development for our country. Musa Belete, he can even rebuild the mansion. It doesn't mean a damn thing. The impact of his crime, the people are suffering. Them pregnant women can't even have their children in a decent hospital.
But
we have over
it cannot be, listen, the man has not been convicted of anything, so we can't allow that to happen.
He has not been convicted of anything, but he did something.
He has not been convicted, so you got to use the word alleged.
No.
He has not been convicted.
I'm speaking for investigative reporting.
Now, it has not been proven as a fact. But how can I allow you to tarnish his reputation? You got to use the word alleged because he has not been convicted.
Musa Belete can hear other people who they're accusing. If they can come up with other investigative reporting that say otherwise, but then we'll talk about that. But these people, they nationally, internationally, they are labeled as criminals. And because we have a weak political system in the country, we have politicians who don't have backbones, who are dependent on these crooked people to bribe them for a campaign. They can't go to court. That is not an excuse, Mr. Gamer.
Well, Mr. Twan, we heard you. Now let's go to number 3 here. Let's start with Mr. Ducliffe. This week we saw students from the Student Unification Party, called themselves SUP, went into LFA and destroyed the building, hurt people. They were arrested and charged for various crimes. How do we get to this level, Mr. Ducliffe?
Mr. Kidman, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see through this one. And as you send me the list of topics today, you had this topic there, and you also had one government official who yanked an elderly man. And I saw the video, and I read through the story, and to be honest, I was not surprised at all. Simply because, the reason why I was not surprised, and I will say this on this platform, I've said it before, but I'm going to repeat it here again. We have not learned, as a nation, we have not learned the lessons from our 14 years war. We have not paid keen attention to some of the things that led us to where we were during those 14 years of destroying ourselves. And the reason why I say this is that Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had a perfect opportunity to set Liberia on a path that would have avoided some of these things. Mr. Gayman, in our country, the laws are not deterrent. The law enforcement agencies are not adequately trained or equipped to deal with these situations. And so, Liberia as a nation, I can tell you, collectively, we are traumatized. And we have not really gone through the thing we need to do to get help as a nation. And so, what you saw by the soup is a manifestation of the mindset of Liberians. It's just a matter of time before you see ministers exhibit the same behavior or whoever. So I wasn't surprised. And trust me, at the end of the day, nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to come out of it. And there's going to be the apologists out there saying, oh, these are students. These are, the apologists will come up with all kinds of excuses for these thugs, for these criminals. And so what you saw there should not surprise you, and again, it goes back to where we came from 30 years ago or even 45 years ago. We have come to normalize this kind of behavior as an expression of your anger, and that's it. So being charged means absolutely nothing, in my opinion, simply because anyone among them who is well connected can just find his or her way through that connection, and they'll be let go. So don't be fooled by the notion of they being charged or they've been sent to court. Nothing is going to come out of it. Nothing is going to come out of it because of we have come to normalize this kind of behavior as somebody is just expressing their anger or it reminds me of Brother T.S. Salif when he says in Liberia we've gotten so used to mediocre that even when a team is defeated, we say they did well. I mean, how do you characterize that doing well by being defeated? But again, it speaks to our mindset and the way we look at things and the way we deal with things. So again, we have not dealt in an adequate manner with some of the root causes of what that led us to our disastrous 14 years of war. And what you saw by these SUP students, what you saw them do is part of it. And it's not going to stop there, Mr. Gayman. So when I say I'm not surprised because of the way I've come to understand, the way I've come to learn Liberians' mindset.
Thank you. Mr. Namwe, I guess you went to the University of Liberia as well at one point?
No, actually, I never did.
Okay.
I never did, but most of my friends did, and I spent a lot of time at the also student center and all of that. So I have a little bit of understanding of soup politics and SIM and soup and But I would say this, as someone who came out of the student activist community, I have a soft spot for my brothers, my comrades, who are trying to speak out, but sometimes. You have to wonder how much thought, is put in some of these actions. Look, what's his name? Wambadike, I think that's his name, when the former president nominated him to the Elections Commission, right? When I challenged him legally, and he did not get that post. But what is wrong with these guys going to court? What is this thing about throwing stones? I mean, how infantile is that? I mean, they are, students of the highest institution of learning. They have to learn to channel, their grievances. There are ways, you can express your dissent or your protest. What is this thing about throwing stones? I'm very disappointed. Look, their own president, the president of the University of Liberia, is not a Liberian. Let him wake up and smell the coffee. The sports ambassador who was appointed by the president, Ba is not a Liberian. So what is wrong with this guy, running the LFA? From the time we've been kids, you remember DeSantos and all these people, Samuel Dobro, into the country. They brought them because they they were good coaches. So what is wrong with this guy? I don't understand it. And I checked the table. Liberia is not that bad. Yeah, we lost against Tunisia. Tunisia is the best team right now on the continent. And we lost to them 1-0. So the team is doing well. I think we're second in our group. So what really is the issue? I don't get it. And so our guys, I'm very disappointed. I got to say, they need to go back to the drawing table and find a better way if they're going to protest. Let them do it in a way that represents students of the University of Liberia.
Dr. Booty, I never had the opportunity to be part of the student body, college level in Liberia. I was a member of the Young Republican Party in the universities here. So my politics, student politics, are totally different from that of Liberia. We were not even allowed to leave campus. Okay? We had a Democrat, the Young Republican, the Young Democrat. We had all of these. These people are leaving the University of Liberia, the campus, and going to private home, public home, destroying property, wearing military uniform, calling themselves militants. Dr. Booty, I've never seen anything on it in Liberia.
Well, I think I'm talking a little bit because I've got something on you and Mr. Nangwe. I actually did one semester at the University of Liberia before I left Liberia. So both of you ain't go to the University of Liberia. Anyway, honestly, look, I think when I was in Liberia recently, it was on a Wednesday afternoon. I was driving from the center of Monrovia through the capital bypass, and there was a huge traffic, right? And only for me to get to the entrance of the university to realize that there are a bunch of students who had put chairs, the armchairs in the middle of the road, and they were walking across to the Capitol building and shuffling people up and down. And I wouldn't lie, it was a bit concerning that on a Wednesday afternoon, economic activities in the country or in the city was brought to a standstill for a moment at least. For about an hour or so, whilst these guys did what they did. And I like the point that Mr. Dukley made, that collectively as Liberians, we're still traumatized. I think on Friday, sorry, I'm going to come to my point. On Friday, I was at a fundraising event for a mental health initiative in Liberia, here in the UK. And we've not addressed in Liberia the mental health concerns that the Civil War brought on, that Ebola brought on, and COVID-19 has brought on as well. And I think the poverty levels in the country and how backward a lot of the things are is putting a lot of strain on the mental health of young people. And if we don't deal with it as a country, we will be going down a slope that we cannot come back from. A lot of young people are turning to drugs as a way of escaping these trauma, which again is not good for our country, because these are the people that we're supposed to be building the future on the backs of. Now, there's a philosopher that I follow called Michel Foucault. He's a French philosopher. And he talked about power in the sense that one of the reasons that in the West, people are seen as good, so Mr. Nangwe, for example, will not walk into a supermarket and steal a can of soup, is not because Mr. Nangwe is a good man, right? He wouldn't do that because he knows the consequences of stealing the can of soup in the West. He will get arrested, he will get prosecuted, and he's more likely going to get a way harsher sentence because he's black in the US than someone else. And Mr. Dukley touched on that point. We do not have that in the Republic of Liberia. Everyone in Liberia understands that they can go out there, they can cause trouble, and they will walk away with impunity. I said it many times on the show. Impunity, that's the word in Liberia. Until the systems that we have in place, the police, the courts, the executive branch, the legislature, until people can be held accountable when they mess up. When you drive your car on the opposite side of the road, if the police start to impound cars and have you pay heavy fines to get your cars out of it, nobody will drive their car on the other side of the road when you're in Monrovia, where they create their own artificial third lane, right? Nobody will do it. In the same way, if these idiots go and ransack somebody's home, you arrest them, you try them, and send them to prison, people will stop doing it. In the same way, when government officials steal money from the Liberian government, if they are prosecuted and they go to jail and they confiscate those property that they've been able to amass because of the stolen wealth, again, people will stop doing it. We do not in the West. Look, we can't say certain things, but many of us know people who in the West will not drink and drive a car because they know when they get arrested what's going to happen. But they will go to Liberia, they will drink and get so plowed. And some of them will even run into people's homes and kill them. And nothing good will come out of it. Nothing. So what is there? What's the incentive to stop people from committing crimes? There's no incentive because you do it, you go free. You do it, you go free. And until we can create a system that holds people accountable, these things will be the mainstay in Liberia, and we'll just come on here and talk about it, and nothing good will come out of it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to On Point. If it's 4 o'clock on the East Coast, it's On Point here. We have all these gentlemen here with different ideas, different take on Liberian issues, and so be it. Let's go to the last subject here, and then we can go around the table.
We didn't speak on.
I'm coming. We're going to go to the last subject here, and then we're going to have 1 minute each to go around the table so we can be out of here on time. Mr. Tower, I want you to touch on the student, but then I want you to start on the video that we saw a government official, I think deputy minister or assistant minister, assaulting an elderly man. And up to now, there have been no arrests. On the closing argument, they played the video over and over. And finally, the ministry came out with a very weak explanation that they are looking into the case. And at the end of the investigation, the public will be duly informed. Someone committing a crime on television, on video. And the Liberian government, those of you who are talking about we are traumatized, and some of the root causes of violence is what we are talking about here. The powerful are taking advantage of the powerless. Mr. Tawa, your turn.
Yeah, so in the first place, you have people makers that don't even obey the law. And that's the issue. Even with everything else we've been talking about here, is corruption. The people in power don't believe that the law applies to them at all. The same people during the war generally took power, and they're all over the place. Whether it was the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, whether it's the whoever you can name, all of them. They are all in that area, and they all took power, and they're the one that running the government. So what you saw from what the guy did over there, this is the example that the very student movement that you talk about, these are the examples that they're seeing. These are the very examples.
1 minute, sir, 1 minute.
That's a lawmaker.
He's, I think, assistant minister at the Ministry of Commerce. I mean, Minister of Planning, Economic Planning.
So, what investigation is to go
Finance.
on that?
Finance. Mm-hmm.
That's a complete assault. That's pretty much almost like attempted murder. So, what investigation? He's supposed to already actually be arrested. But you see, but that's the point. Those are the examples that, because I want to come to this. We're talking about the students and the youth. But these are the examples. In the society, the people that claim to be leaders, they set these standards, and what the children and the youth and everybody follow that. These are the examples. So here we are trying to blame the youth. But look, this is going to get worse. And this is why. You see those guys in power? They have no desire or intention or even changing or recalibrating themselves. In fact, they don't even think they're doing anything wrong. And they don't even think they're doing enough in the direction of being wrong or being abusive or being corrupt. They're going to continue more in that. Where Edwin Snow was even saying that they don't think they're being paid enough and they need to get paid more. But the reason I'm saying this is it was yesterday or day before yesterday. Day before yesterday, I watched or yesterday where they had a minister. Brother Nangwe was on that show. I don't know who that minister was, commerce or something like that. And they brought him on, and the discussion was that they're cutting all these funds now from USAID. What is the way forward? That was the topic. And everything that minister discussed, I consider it to be nonsense. Thomas was on there. They want to list all these policies and tackling corruption and all I could hear was domestic tax increase. No, the actual thing was, and I tried to see if I could call in, but I was busy. That minister, they need to cut all those benefits, salaries and benefits. He did not mention a single one of those. All they could mention was they're going to start collecting property tax so they can raise domestic revenue. They're going to go ahead and do VAT so they can, and that is all. So the money that they're already holding on to, there is no real, the trauma that is in Liberia. If at the end of the war, if Liberia was structured in a way where the economy was working, guess what? The youth would have had a way for them to plug in, for them to be re-educated. So all of this stuff that we're calling trauma and everything, to some extent, I didn't go through no rehabilitation. I came here to the US. Do you see me slapping somebody or kicking anybody? No. They took everything, they're holding on to it. Even without war, they just looted the country. That minister sat on this platform and he could not address all his salaries and his benefits, his gas and living expense that he's getting. That is a complete crime and corruption. And people were on this program with him yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and nobody questioned those things. All I could hear was there was some policy put in place. How do we synchronize this one? How do we integrate this one? And those have nothing to do with the actual corruption. And this is what we are seeing. And look at how they're acting. Look at how they're acting. Then you want to blame the youth. Then we want to blame the youth that are seen as the example. Because they do these things, guess what? No penalty, but they continue to rise. So this become the hallmark by which everybody, the youth, have to operate.
Thank you. Guys, we got 10 minutes here. We're gonna use 2 minutes each to do it. Mr. Twan, you got one. Let's talk 1 minute on this particular assault that you saw. And let me, courtesy of closing argument, they forward this to me. If I did, would the one that flagged it. But let me read the response from the Ministry of Finance and Planning. The end here said, the ministry's legal and HR units are currently reviewing all internal policies, including the civil service standing order, and will inform the public regarding the next step in keeping with Chapter 4, Section 4 of this. So basically, they are saying here, the ministry encourages all its employees to refrain from such behavior as they undermine the integrity of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. This is the weakest thing I've ever seen. There is no suspension, there's no firing, there's no persecution, there's no turning you over to the law. They came up with this flimsy explanation. Your take, Mr. Twan.
It is hard to really look at Liberian politics and try to be objective because of the hypocrisy that usually surround law enforcement in Liberia. We talk about university students right now. You remember university students were assaulted right before the U.S. Embassy? I think was what, 2022? 2022?
Mm-hmm.
All George were there. He came out, he said he didn't know the people that did it. And that was the end of it. Students have been abused, brutalized in our country, and no one gave a hint. G. Debbie Gibson, one of the school where the poorest student can go in Liberia. Under the Salib and Boaka government, students were brutalized. We saw police claiming over the fence.
Mr. Tuan, no, let me correct you, because we are talking about the crime that was committed on the elephant campus. Now you're going back to 1975, 82. Now we're talking about what's happening now.
Mr. Gaiman, that's what wrong with Liberia. We don't want to look back. We only want to tell the thing that's happening now.
Mr. Tuan,
no. That's it, Mr. Tuan.
We are talking about a particular subject now. We are talking about the violence that the student made, and particularly now, the particular subject we on now is the violence meted against an innocent Liberian citizen by a government official. You saw the man punch another living citizen. And I'm talking to you about it, and you said government official. You said the student being assaulted.
Okay, Mr. Gabon, I believe if you don't look in the past, you'll never plan a good future. That's the mistake we always making. We get gratified with the thing before us, but what before us is something else driving it. There's impunity in Liberia. Impunity. There's the TRC report. They asked the TRC report, the commissioner, investigate Liberian, tell us what's wrong with Liberia, what brings violence in Liberia. About 26,000 pages of report came out, and they said it was impunity.
Okay, he's frozen.
Okay, Mr. Nambe, you touch on this real quick so we can begin our closing.
Yes. Look, my comment will be brief. First of all, let me acknowledge Fix Electronics. I believe I said Tunisia is the best team on the continent, but he corrected that. He said Morocco is, and I get it. So I take that. But I think what happened on that video is disgusting. I'm shocked that Gaffron will be pulling out the boilerplate of whatever. Well, what is the behavior that he is cautioning his employees against? What is it? If you know that is acceptable, then why is he cautioning them? I'm disappointed that he's not, no suspension, nothing is happening, and he's gonna tell us he's gonna investigate this. I guess that's what this government does. Investigate. They investigate, and it takes years, and we don't get to hear anything. But this gentleman, from that video, he should not be going to the Ministry of Finance tomorrow morning. I understand he's some director at the Ministry of Finance. I think what he did there is abominable, is unconscionable. I think it's disgusting, and he should be fired. But he should be suspended while they conduct the investigation. That man should not go anywhere near the Ministry of Finance. If you listen to the video towards the end, he's telling the people, let him go, let him go sue me. I got money. What does that even do to this case? And Gaffron is going to write that feeble. I think he's drunk the Kool-Aid. And a lot of people, I don't know Gaffron, I was not at the university when he was there. A lot of people say he's a student activist, but he has not proven his pedigree. All this laurels, the people were showering him with, during his term, Ombe was here, and so it was easy to be, to do a lot of positive things. But right now he's demonstrating apparently he's incapable of doing much with little, and that is our problem. We have little that requires much to be done. I'm disappointed in his reaction to this video.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen,
we understand it happened back in October.
That's correct.
That's way back.
We are at 7 o'clock today, ladies and gentlemen. Our fascinating show is called Hello, Pastor. We are going to be talking about marriage, okay? What's the purpose of marriage? We're going to be looking at it from a biblical perspective, right? You're going to have a theologian, an ordained pastor, a teacher here to talk about marriage. What is the purpose of marriage? Is it a covenant between man and God? All of these things are going to be answered. So if you've been married for a long time, like some of us, and you just got married because it's the right thing to do, maybe you need to watch this show at 7 o'clock so we can see what's going on here. Dr. Duclet, you got Honorable Duclet, we got, let's start closing up here. You got 2 minutes here to wrap up everything that you know about what's happening here so we can move on.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gaiman, and thank you to my fellow panelists. It was a good debate today, and I just wanted to say, Mr. Gaiman, things are not looking good. Things are not looking good at all for Mama Liberia. But you don't give up, and I just feel that the inability of our law enforcement and the godless politicians that we have got until such time that we have people who actually mean well for Liberia, who actually want to see meaningful changes. You see, look, it just this whole episode, Mr. Gamer, reminded me of something. Just allow me extra minute. Let me say this to our listener. In the province of Alberta, Alberta is one of the provinces here, and the Minister of Justice there was a Nigerian immigrant who had recently immigrated to Alberta. He was a lawyer. He was the Minister of Justice. And the law in Alberta says when you are caught speaking on your phone while driving, it's $2,000 fine. And he, being the Minister of Justice, he was caught driving while speaking on his phone. He was given a ticket for $2,000. The moment he got to his office, he called the chief of police and told the chief of police that he's been given ticket for whatever. The chief of police immediately, after the call, he immediately called the premier, which would be the equivalent of the governor in America. And this guy was instantly fired from the Ministry of Justice because he came to that job with the African mentality. I'm the minister, I'm above the law. So the same thing happens in Liberia. People in position of power think that they're above the law. Like Jay Nagwe just said earlier, at the ending part of that video, you could hear the guy saying, what I guess the implication is that, what can you do to me? In other words, nothing will, I've slapped you, nothing will come out of it. And again, it speaks to the way people in Liberia have come to normalize this kind of way of doing things because they know nothing is going to happen to them. He believed in his influence and his position, he will get away with it. Until, like Doctor was saying earlier, when people are being held to account, like charged, sent to court, found guilty, and sent to South Beach, and they stay there for 2-3 months, they realize that, oh, really? But again, this is a thing that we shouldn't even be discussing, because everyone should know that you cannot just assault people. And the reason why the people here and other places are law-abiding is because of the fear of the consequence of their misbehaving. But we don't have that, Mr. Gaiman. And so, and this is now manifested in every sphere of our lives, in the government, in the police, you name it. People there have this impunity mentality, and so they're not afraid of doing anything. I mean, the way the guy behaved after he yanked this elderly man, you could just see the arrogance in him. You could just see, and because he's a person of position, everybody around him, nobody dare talk to him, nobody dare confront him for what he has done, even though people were there. But again, it just speaks to, look, I've always said this: Liberians are collectively traumatized as the result of the war, and we have not sought therapy to get out of our trauma. And so what you see the students doing is very simple, Mr. Gaiman. Charge them, send them to court. If they are found guilty, send them to jail. I mean, these are all outlined in our laws, in our constitution, but we don't implement our own constitution. We don't, so I'm sorry to say that we have got a long way to go, And I just wanted to push back on something Brother Torres said earlier. Look, to say that Mandingo people are not marginalized, it's not accurate. There are many ways people can be marginalized. People can be marginalized politically. People can be marginalized socially and academic, and many other ways. And this is not in question that a certain group of people, Mandingos in particular, are marginalized. Of course, they are marginalized, but I will leave it at that. That will be a topic for another day. But let's not deny the fact that Mandingo people in Liberia are marginalized. And I can tell you myself that some of the reasons for the marginalization is because the Mandingo people do not have a particular county that they all come from. You find Mandingos in all the counties. That might be some of the reason, but there's no denying that Mandingo people in Liberia are marginalized. And this is not of today.
Well, Honorable Duklin, when you look in the Senate, you look in Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, you look in the President's office, you look in Justice, you look, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like people who are marginalized in the Senate, in the House of Legislature, in the Executive. What else do you want? The Basa people, we can make the claim that, you guys are now marginalizing us. Mr. Tawo, are you marginalized? I want to be marginalized. Like I'm a rock.
Look at what happened here.
Let these guys. Yeah, go ahead.
I will close on this. When Mr. Duklin wanted to say that they're marginalized in so many other ways, let these ways be pointed out. How Mandingos have never been stopped to not attend any school. The thing here is that Mandingos in the migration gradation, Mandingos were one of the last probably to enter some of the counties, and I mentioned it here, that they're not large in number anywhere, so that politically they can influence in one area specifically. So if you're doing things on a demo, unless you want to say you want to do it to where you handpick and you say everybody got to be involved in that way, and if it's in the town, then that's different. But if you're pushing democracy, wherein if they're in Nimba, and if they are not the larger majority, if they put up a candidate, are you saying that just because they want for a Mandingo person to be superintendent so that they can claim that they're marginalized, they should vote for them and they should leave their own manner of Geo person that they have majority in? So this is the only area that we can look at it, and that's a whole stuff based on the democracy stuff. So if Mandingos don't want that, then let them try to gather and be a bigger number in one area. But when it comes to just participation generally in being appointed in places, they're all there. If in business, nobody obstruct Mandingo people, they're one of the leading merchants. And if you're marginalized, you're really not going to even be allowed. That is, there'll be all kinds of laws put in place to restrict you and to strangulate you and to frustrate you. None of those things exist. If it happened, it could be maybe on individual basis, but there is no institutional stuff that is a state-run structure or county-run structure that is in place that I know of. Because I live and grew up in Liberia. I'm very close to a lot of Mandingo people. The Francis Duana and this guy, what is his name? One of our cousin, Anthony Kesselly and stuff. I know all these people, and we all play together. There will be the stuff. They seem almost like tribalism. Like, oh, the other human Mandingo man just do stuff, but it's on just that level, which affect everybody in one form or another. So I don't want for us to carry this narrative. But look, one last thing. I think we are contradicting ourselves here. In one instance, we say that if this guy do this stuff, they should try him. Nothing will come out of it, and that is the problem with Liberia. But then when Musa Belete steal money, and he's using the same money for him to build bridge, so he can get himself in power. When it's pointed out, then the stuff is, oh, he has not been convicted. Because Liberia, we all know that the crooks are all in cahoots. They don't convict each other. And I knew that. That is why when I came here on the show a year ago, I said Boaga was never going to investigate nobody. The asset recovery team was just a fiasco. They were just doing from because they don't want to investigate anybody so that when they leave, they get investigated. They all sit at the top and they loot the country. So this is where we are. And the point that Twan raised, we have to look at that. Forget about the fact that whether it is my brother or sister, if they stole from Liberia and they start to use that money in any way for them to influence anything, we have to point that out. We have to be able to point that out. Forget about whether I build a hospital, whether I build an airport. he's right. That is not the job of the legislature. Ellen Johnson said he was the one that pushed the kind of crooked stuff because she wanted to bribe them with so-called county development fund so that she can get the country to where it is, pass all kinds of bogus deal that her and her children are going to be involved in, and her cronies for them to loot that country. That is what plays legislature and senators in the midst of so-called development. They're only there for them to do the three function. They're not developers. So let us be able to at least admit this. And I want to tell Mr. Twan, he's right. And I recognize that, and we should be able to point that out. Thank you.
Dr. Booty. Okay. Let's please put that flyer back up. Our seminar, there you go. A marriage God's way. You can tell us now, you who got been married for, like me, I've been married 31 years. I will be listening here to see whether I did it in God's way. It's a contract. Whether it's a contract between me and the state, between me and my wife, or between me and God. So, hello, Pastor will be here. Reverend Dr. Henry Cole will be here to educate us on this. And I think it's every other Sunday at 7 p.m. right here, focus on Liberia. And Dennis Jar will be the host here, learning along with me. What I did, we've been in for a long time. We're doing it right with Dr. Booty.
Yeah, I think just let me touch on the point Mr. Tao ended on. I think, look, nobody's contradicting anything. The fact that this guy slapped this man, yes, we've seen it, but the process, we've all argued that the process has to take its place. The process did not take its place in its course in the Ability situation, is what people have said. And until it takes its course and he's then proven guilty, then we can say he's still moved, right? The FIFA one that I quoted, that took it, the process unfolded and it ended, and we can then say that. So there's not a contradiction. Let's just push back on that. I agree with you, Mr. Tao. I don't think Madingo people in Liberia have been marginalized in any way, shape, or form, right? I think every sector that they want to participate in, they are free to participate, as are every other Liberian as well. Again, I'll end on this. I've said it before, and I'm happy that Mr. Tao has touched on it. I'm happy that Mr. Twan touched on it, and I'm happy that Mr. Dupe touched on it as well. Impunity is our problem. People have to pay the penalty for the crimes that they commit. Until that can happen, Liberia will continue to give us something to talk about, right? So at least we can come on here and talk about these things. Until we get to the point where people are starting to get punished for the crimes that they're committing, we will always have these issues. On the issue of this guy, look, President Barker suspended people at LTA, pending investigation. He suspended people at LDEA, pending investigation. He suspended the NAFF, whatever name got. Everybody else has been suspended pending investigation. They may stay within that he won't suspend it. So clearly, there is a double standard here, because he should have been suspended already. And thank you guys today for the good show.
Mr. Namwe.
Thank you very much. Great show, guys. I appreciate the time whenever I'm with you. Look, let me go back to the ability thing, right? This is a democracy, right? Our ability is not forcing anybody to elect him into office. We go to the marketplace in a democracy. You present your ideas. People like your ideas, they will buy. If they don't, they will walk away. And so this whole thing about ability, he's not an outstanding politician, out of that, you know what? I think we should leave it to the electorate to decide. But I tell you this, the short-term ability has been in the House. He's done more than some of the people who've been there 20 years. To me, that is somebody who is worthy of considering for office, because he's demonstrating that he would deliver for the people. And so to that, I say kudos to Mr. Dugley. It's been a wonderful show. I hope to be here again next Sunday. Thank you very much.
Great. Mr. Gimme, real quick, just 1 second. Mr. Nangwe here, I have to be careful here. The man did not go to LU. He went to Cottington. But every time there was some kind of riot on that campus, he was there.
So you
got 30 seconds. Were you there when they were?
I was vice president of LINSU. I was vice president for international affairs, and the president of LINSU was always at the University of Liberia. We had our offices in the OSU offices, and so I was at the university a lot. But most of my friends, Samuel Sabwa, Edward Fale, all the guys went to LU. So I spent, when I'm in Monrovia, I was on the campus all the time.
Okay.
But I never took part in any riot, Towel.
Okay. You see, he got a disclaimer. He was there, the Pontius Pilate, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want to have anything to do with killing Jesus, but here is the cross, here's the nail, here is everything. Do what you want to do, just don't call my name. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of another great show. And as usual, we want to say, if you are a successful person in Liberia, the people have to feel your success. If you are blessed to win a position in Liberia and you have access, it is incumbent upon you for the folks to feel your success. This is what Musa Ability has done. We're talking about Mandingo people being marginalized. Look at me, I'm a Bassa man. We got crew people here. We are hailing a born Mandingo, full-blooded Mandingo guy who is doing very well. He's in the House. We got Amara Kone in the Senate. We got Keita as legal advisor to the president. What else does the Mandingo man want? You got all the positions in the country. So I would like to be marginalized like you. But anyhow, so this is where we are. Musa Ability has done very well for himself. If we were looking for a perfect political candidate, we won't have Trump as president. We wouldn't have candidate who got involved with some young girl riding with him. The girl got drowned. He left. He was going to be charged with murder. But he came on and became one of the greatest legislators of this country. We have President Kennedy. They say he destroyed a lot of homes. He was a womanizer, destroyed a lot of homes. He came out to be one of the best people. So we have these things to happen. Look at what this man has done over the few years that he's been in the House. Look what he has done for his people.
You're sounding like a Ability campaign manager now.
Few months, Darren. Few months, not even a year. Few months.
You're sounding like a campaign manager now. Can you end the show? Can you end the show?
I got a job now. Mr. Dr. Booty has appointed me campaign manager for Musa Ability. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to call the CMC USA chair, Madam Gua, to come on here and tell us the vision and the mission of the CMC, newly formed CMC. I'm also going to make connection with Mr. Jai to see if I can get Musa Ability's number so he can come here for us to have a frank conversation. So few of us can discuss, ask, be honestly having a discussion with him, because from what I heard, the man has no fear of whether you got 5 people on your platform, 5,000. He's willing to engage so he can lay to rest most of the things that we are asking. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got a new job. I'm the campaign manager for Musa Ability, according to Dr. Booty. But it was a great show, gentlemen. Let's do this again next Sunday, same time, same place. If it's 4 o'clock on the East Coast, it is us. No matter who we are all Liberians.
We are Liberians.